yesterday నిన్న ఐఏఎస్ల మీటింగ్ జరుగుతూ ఉన్నప్పుడు I probably spoke in detail giving a direction, and in continuation to that second day's meeting, that is IPS, addressing all the IPS officers, I continue this meeting. When we are sitting down here, we always aspire. We want to be number one, Anudhi. Obviously, it's anybody's aspiration. And police law, we want to be number one police department in this country. Our police, that is my police, because I say my police because it's us together. I own you and you own me. This is our government. It's an aspiration that we want to be number one. We want to showcase to this world, to this country, that we want to be number one, and we are number one. But number one police ante emiti? What is the definition of being number one? What are the best practices? Best practices ante emiti? అన్నది మీకు అంతా కూడా తెలిసి ఉంటే, I'll just give you a small example here. In America, what is one of the most developed countries, పోలీసులను ప్రజలే ఎన్నుకుంటారు. Even police are elected by people in America, in developed countries. Not only in America, but so many other developed countries, police are also elected by people. Do you know why? I think all of you can guess why. Because it means democracy. Because it means that people who are elected to that places, people who go to that place, should know the meaning of democracy, should understand democracy. The reason why people elect them is because they should have a human face. Otherwise, they'll be defeated. If we do not have human face, if we do not sympathize with the needy, then we lose the election. That is the reason why elections in America take place even for positions such as police chiefs. In a democracy, it's very important that we respect democracy. Many a times we see this conflict coming up. Many a times we see this conflict wherein we say, why should we care for an MLA? Why should we care for an MP? Many a times we see this conflict, especially police department. But at the end of the day, we're all in this process of democracy. If we do not respect democracy, then democracy would fall. Whether we like it, whether we don't like it, 2 lakh people exercise their franchise to get these people elected. 2 lakh people reimpose their faith in these people and voted for them. And if we do not respect them, usually it so happens in police department. That is the reason why I'm just bringing about this topic. The democracy just falls flat. It's so very important that we understand this, that we need to work together. We need to have an inclusive, cooperative strategy in place. I mean, I do not say support them in illegal activities. I do not say support them in looting. I do not say support them in corruption activities. No. Anything to do with corruption? No. Anything to do with illegal activities? No. Anything to do with looting? No. But the rest of the matters, all other matters, we need to work together. We need to take them into confidence. We need to put them as the face. See, no MLA wants a bad name. No MP wants a bad name. Nobody in public life wants to have a tag that he's bad. All what you need to do is just involve him in the governance part, so that they get a kick, that they're also part of the process. And you just convince them beforehand. Just sit down with them, smile, talk to them, give them a cup of coffee, smile, talk to them, and just convince them that ఇది చేస్తే మీకు చెడ్డ పేరు వస్తుంది, ఇది చేస్తే మంచి పేరు వస్తుంది. చెడ్డ పేరు వస్తుంది అన్నది why would they ask you to do? All what needs to be done is you just need to smile, talk to them, give a cup of coffee, and make them understand. That's it, as simple as that. If this happens, 50% of the problem is gone. If we don't do this, if we don't smile, if we don't lift their phones, then you have a problem. Just keep this ego aside. All of them. It applies to both the sections, to the politicians as well as to the officers. We are together running this democracy for good governance. And it's very important that we sail together. So just make a few changes in your approach. It makes things better. Having said this, about wanting to be number one police, wanting to follow the best practices. Having said this, I would want to bring about certain issues. కొన్ని విషయాలు, out of my experience from the previous government, I would want to bring about a few issues. When we speak about good governance, when we speak about best practices, when we speak about wanting to be number one police, గత ప్రభుత్వ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్లు కొన్ని చెప్తాను. యథేచ్ఛగా, right in front of our eyes, అంతెందుకు, in fact, you know where the chief minister's residence is, right beside. Right in front, right beside, you see sand being looted. You see proclanes working. You see JCBs working. You see hundreds of lorries going, taking sand, dispatching sand. Everybody knows it's illegal. It's happening right in front. It doesn't just stop with just CM's residence, and right beside the CM's residence, this activity is happening. You see in West Godavari, an MRO, a lady MRO, was dragged out, was caught by hair. It hit all the newspapers because she was obstructing an MLA from looting. She was obstructing an MLA who was involved in sand mafia. Is this best practice? Is this number one police? It just doesn't stop with West Godavari or this district here. Everywhere, all over the state, right in front of our eyes, మన కళ్ళ ఎదుటనే JCBs are working, poclanes are working, hundreds of lorries of sand is being looted. Yet we don't do anything. We know it is illegal. Is this best practice? మన కళ్ళ ఎదుటనే ఇదే జిల్లాలో, just go to Guntur, it hit all the newspapers. It went to the court. Illegal mining. Illegal mining. Rampant illegal mining. Right in front of our eyes, right neighboring district, Guntur. What did we do? Is this the best practice? Is this number one policing? We need to ask ourselves. Right in front of our eyes, MLAs demanding money from theatres, theatre owners. Also Guntur. Institutions are forced to pay money. Clubs are run where gambling takes place. MLAs are involved. All this is happening in front of our eyes, was happening in front of our eyes. Is this the best practice for governance, good governance? Is this number one policy? Right in this capital city, in the name of land pooling, land ivvanivaru, who were not wanting to part with their land. It's their land. We need to respect that. But government wants it. Somebody is not wanting to part. There's no humanity shown. Right in front of our eyes, people who did not want to cooperate, they were harassed. False cases booked. So much so that 11 of them committed suicides. Just yesterday, I think I saw it in the Times of India newspaper headlines. RTI Act. 11 of them committed suicides. People who were not wanting to give land for land pooling. And 6 of them are Dalits. In them. Is this good governance, best practices? Is this number one policing? Right here in Vijayawada city, women were harassed, given money at high interest rates, and they were not able to pay. And because they were not able to pay, they were forced into sex racket. They were videographed in the city. Call money sex racket scam. What happened? How many cases booked? How many of them were arrested? Big zero. Is this best practice? Is this good governance? Is this number one policing? I ask you straight, మిమ్మల్ని అడుగుతా ఉన్నా, So many of us are sitting here. IAS, yesterday I was posing the same question to the IAS officers. Now I'm asking you. So many of us officers are sitting here. IAS, IPS, civil servants, government, secretaries, highest level bodies, ministers, including the Chief Minister himself. All of us are sitting here. Very well knowing that this building is illegal building. Very well knowing that this building where we're sitting in, has breached every violation. Letter written by the department quoting irrigation department, the road on which we traveled, the bund level, the maximum flood level of the flood level is 22.6. The area where we are sitting is at 19.6 meters. River Conservation Act breached, Lokayukta judgments breached, Green Tribunal judgments breached, Master Plan breached, Building Bylaws breached. In front of our eyes, ikkade మనకెళ్ళ ఎదుటనే సీఎం గారే ఇల్లీగల్ బిల్డింగ్లో ఉంటారు. పక్కనే మాజీ సీఎం గారు. Whatever it is, even if I do it, it's still wrong. Doesn't make a difference. We are in positions of authority. Does it justify? That because I am a CM, because you are an SP, because you are a collector, you can do it? We can't. How does it justify a CM staying in an illegal house, illegal property, illegal building lo untaru? Pakkane ikkade the government itself constructs an illegal building. And then what happened? Because CM himself is living in an illegal building, because the government itself constructs an illegal building, what happens? You see this entire road. Everywhere you have illegal buildings coming up. Nobody to stop. Nobody to stop. Right in front of our eyes. See this entire road. What are we doing? Is this good governance? Best practices? I ask all of you to think. ఆలోచన చేయమని అడుగుతా ఉన్నా. When we are in power, when we are in position of strength, it comes with responsibility. We need to live by an example. We need to set certain standards in place. And when we drop, do we have any moral right or authority to even question anybody else? We need to ask ourselves this basic question. That is why I say to all of you sitting down here, I say no to corruption, say no to looting, say no to illegal activities. And to clean up the system, to bring about a change into the system, to set a standard in place. Yesterday I gave a call. I said I'm holding this meeting just to showcase this. That this is not how one should be. This is not what we are. This is not good governance. And yesterday I said, let's start the demolition from here from this building. Today I'm asking you the same thing. Starting tomorrow, this building will be the first building to be demolished. Because we want to send a signal. We want to send a message. Once we start here, this entire road will be cleansed. It just doesn't stop here. I want you to take up this exercise in the districts as well. Send a message to the collectors as well as to the SPs. I speak to both of you. Show them that, we are different. Show them henceforth what has happened is happened. Henceforth, this government will bring about a change. We are not going to keep quiet if sand is outrightly looted. We are not going to keep quiet. Send a message. If illegal mining takes place, send a message. We are not going to keep quiet. If somebody forces people to give money, even if it means our MLAs, it doesn't make any difference. Send a message. We are not going to keep quiet. Send a message against illegal activities. Anything to do with illegalities, send a message. Anything to do with corruption, send a message. Anything to do with looting, send a message. Only then we bring about best practices. Only then we can talk about number one policing. Only then we can talk about good governance. It requires a strong will. And I'm saying to you that I'm with you. I'm with you. Anything you do it in this purview, my blessings are totally with you. I'm totally in support of you. Bring about a change. Let this system change. When you talk about in the villages, ensure no bell shops. Bell shop itself is a criminal word. There is no word in the dictionary as a bell shop. But in my Padayatra, when I've noticed, I've seen not one in a village, several. Clubs, gambling. And when I asked that I'm attending this meeting, I asked a few of your senior colleagues, whom I've known them well, as to what are the best practices, what should I tell the collectors, what should I tell the SPs who are coming to meet me on best practices. Few suggestions came to me. They gave me this book. And I will not quote them all, but I just quote a few of them. What I think, when practiced, will give a good name to the SPs. Now, I strongly believe in one thing. We are here by the grace of God. And when we are here, because by the grace of God and by the grace of the people, that I am here. And through me, you're all SPs. When we send we send a message together as one. When I say good governance, we're together as good governance. If I fail, you fail. If you fail, I fail. Tomorrow, if people are to vote for me back to power, it's only going to happen when all of us together deliver. If we don't deliver, if I don't deliver, you don't deliver, and people don't vote us out, when people vote us out, then it's failure on all our part. I've not done my job well, you've not done your job well. And ultimately the result is we've been voted out. So it's very important that we work together as one for good governance. But we work together as one to bring about this change. And when I was discussing about this change, few suggestions, what people have suggested, what I thought I'd share with you now today. A couple of them I've already told you. Friendly and transparent policy, and elaborating this friendly and transparent policy, I gave you a little bit of briefing beforehand. I said, first thing is, whenever somebody comes to you, forget about MLA, even anybody else, first thing, smile. Show your teeth. Abhishek, I want your teeth. We've got to be, we can't just be firm. You need to relax a bit. You need to be friendly with the people who come to you. They should not get a feeling that, oh my God, why should I come here? This man doesn't even care about me. No, that's not the way. The approach should be, we are here as their friends. The approach should be very friendly. The approach should be very transparent. We would have to give them the confidence because we are working for them. So let's get one thing on our mind straight. We are not different. We are public servants. We are not public rulers. We are public servants. That includes me, the biggest public servant, and it includes all of you here also, the same. So let's always keep that in mind. Once we get this into our head, then we'll open up a bit, we'll relax a bit, we'll smile, receive them properly. That's very important. I think 50% of the problem is addressed when we receive people properly. I think that's one thing that will go a long way for the best practice. Humility is a virtue. Something what I always learned from my father. Edige koddi vadagali. As we keep growing, we've got to humble ourselves more and more. I think my father taught me well. I think being in the position that I am in today gives me a little bit of that room to advise you on that. Then you have another area, what I just spoke about, dealing with the MLAs. I think I've made myself quite clear that, we just against say no to corruption, say no to looting, say no to illegal activities. The rest of the areas, let's take them together. Let's work together. Let's have an inclusive governance. The rest of the areas. That's explicitly explained. I think you'll do well with it. To bring about as I said, the people should sit tight. To bring about that, we've gone ahead and given weekly off. I think weekly off for police, I don't think it's anywhere in this country. Probably Bihar tried it for a while and somehow I don't think it actually went that far. But first time, weekly off for police, this is something what's coming from our governance. That is our meaning, all of us together. And we are committed to it. This weekly off would entitle the situation where we would have to be recruiting probably 20%, 25% more police into the force. We will do it. It gives emotional wellness. When somebody takes a day off, spends that time with the family, it helps. It rejuvenates the person. Because I strongly believe that it should be done. And then, God's grace, today we're implementing that. Please ensure that it is scrupulously followed. Pass a message to the lowest level of your department. Give them a break. Get in systems in place that it's scrupulously followed. The perception that police are biased, the perception that police are biased, especially this perception, especially if it is there in vulnerable sections, then I think we're doing a bad job. Especially these Dalits, these weaker sections, if these people develop this kind of a perception on police, then I think we utterly failed in our duty. Because these people have no voice. They're the poorest of the lot. These people have no voice. And if these people, if they feel that police are biased, then that is something that we need to seriously ponder. That is one thing what I ask you to just give it a little bit of thought. There in those sections, perception should change. In the police department also, have a reception area. Let's engage, even if it's going to mean recruiting people, we will recruit people. Have somebody in the front section. The moment somebody comes into the police department, let it be a reception area with a wonderful smile, receiving the complainant. It should be done. When somebody comes to lodge a complaint, it's out of distress that they're coming. And it's not that, we're doing them a favor by taking the complaint. We're rendering our service. So it's very important that, you receive them well. With a smile, the receptionist receives them. Have them seated. Then a police comes. How do you see in the Western world? A police comes, talks to them, understands them, then files the case. These kind of mechanisms should have to come in place. I think all of your youngsters, I think you can bring about this change, this transformation what was never there before. And I think Gautamanna also is wanting to bring about change. So I think they should be attempted. Friendly police. It's very important. And yesterday, while I was conversing with the collectors, I was mentioning about district portals. The district portals should document copies of FIRs, licenses, permissions given. All of these also should be made available in the district portals. The DPOs, the SDPOs, circle officers, SHOs should all be linked to this district portal, e-government system, to ensure speed and transparency. Now, when we have, two things will happen by showing this kind of transparency. One, it will mount pressure on us to expedite the disposal of these cases. That's good. Two, it will showcase transparency. Now, both these things are very important. Another important thing what I advise the SPs to do is have a gauge of citizens' satisfaction. Every police department, whichever areas they are, whichever jurisdictions they come under, just gauge how the SIs are performing, how CIs are performing, how DSPs are performing, how ASPs are performing. In that area, just conduct a third-party citizen gauge, third-party inquiries, so that you get feedback whether that CI is corrupt, whether that SI is corrupt, whether the DSP is corrupt. See, we at the top level decide to be non-corrupt. 50% of corruption is gone. Then the other 50% is, how do we curtail corruption at that stage? That's the 50%. That's the steps what we need to take. So have a gauge. Take periodical inquiries. Why do we believe? Why do we just believe somebody who says I'm not corrupt? You don't know how the SI is performing, or the CI is performing, how the DSP is performing. We just hear news and then we take decisions. Because that guy is sweet to us, because that guy speaks to us well, we presume that this guy is good. We don't know. Conduct a third-party inquiry. Gauge the perception from the people. How is this CI? How is this SI? You know for yourself. Then you can take a call. Shift him out, not to shift him out. Ask for somebody to be shifted out, not ask for somebody to be shifted out. These are the options, choices what you would have with more on scientific basis. Not out of whims and fancies, but more on scientific grounds. Take feedback from the victims, take feedback from the citizens on behavior of the officer, speedy disposal of cases by the officer, fairness of the officer. In all such parameters, what would actually improve? Then the response time. Now, I was just telling yesterday, every level, mandal level to district collector level, in their respective offices, conduct a grievance cell is what I was telling them. Where in that grievance cell conducted on Monday, we named it as Spandana. We asked the officers not only to conduct the grievance cells, but also take their telephone numbers and give them a receipt. as to when we would be clearing their plea. That helps. And that receipt, I asked the collectors to randomly check if that receipt is being honored or not. Collectors also would be doing that, giving a receipt on speedy disposal, saying that I would dispose in 15 days' time. I would dispose this case in 1 week's time. I would dispose this case in 3 days' time. Whatever time you think is right, mention it in the receipt, on the receipt. Then it is your duty to ensure that it happens from the collector to the bottommost level. Then the collectors, when they go for inspection, surprise checks, meet the villagers, they can ask for the receipts. They say, has it been done or not? Have the timelines been met or not? It speaks something about the officer that you're dealing with. It speaks something about the credibility that is attached to this disposal mechanism. All that will happen if we can also bring about the same systems in place. No, it's something different. But when tried, it could send a strong message of credibility, of transparency, of speedy disposal. All three in place. I've asked the collectors to practice this. I would also request the SPs to bring it in place. It helps. Let there be, somebody goes to file a complaint. There is someone who receives them with a smile on their face. Somebody attends to them, takes their complaint, gives them a receipt, says that so and so matter would be disposed in so many days. There is a sense of confidence that, okay, I am well received, somebody is attending my job. It sends a strong signal. I think it will send a strong transformation signal. And also SPs also, if they can shun pre-guided tours and conduct surprise checks, make night halts in the villages, even that would help. Direct interaction with the villages, pay special focus in visiting the localities inhabited by the weaker sections. No SP going to a weaker section colony. SPs themselves asking, how is my CI doing? How is my SI doing? Are they doing good? Are you happy with them? It sends such a strong message. SP is doing. And it's not a pre-guided tour. Suddenly it's a surprise. Nobody knows where you're going. Suddenly you just get down, go to a weaker section, ask them, how is my CI doing? How is my SI doing? Are they doing good? Are you happy with them? And now it sends a strong message. It helps change the system. But please make sure that you smile when you go there. That helps. Then some of the guidance has come from cyber crimes. Police officials are not fully equipped to deal with these cases. But this is something what is becoming reality these days. Cyber stalking and harassment on social media against women should be given topmost priority. Women are something, if we cannot protect, then I think we're failing in our duty. Stalking, cyber harassment, especially, with cell phones coming, at the numbers at which they're coming, all these things have become byproducts. social imbalance, cyber harassment. We do not have sufficient training at the bottom level. Probably, organize, Gautam, organize for, training for us even at the topmost level, so that this training could be taken up to the bottommost level. Cyber crime is something this is going to be future. We need to gear up. Check out how other states are doing. Check out how the Western world is doing, how the developed countries are doing, how they're doing, and how are they dealing with it, and how do we deal with it. And then proper training at the bottommost level is very important. Eve T saying, I don't have to mention. Eve T saying, yeah, I guess by and large, I don't think I should go anything beyond this. I think all of you are quite capable. But I just thought, these are the best practices. When we say good government, good governance, best practices, good policing, number one policing. I think these are the areas what should be touched. And I have absolute confidence and faith in you. In fact, if you remember right, before even my cabinet was sworn in, I finished recruitment of SPs. I finished recruitment of collectors. Before even my cabinet was sworn in. And you know how I did it? I just took 3 parameters: honesty, efficiency, and not leaning towards TDP. Of course, I had to do that. Otherwise, the system would get further polluted. Meaning balance, neutral. That means YCP is not in power, that means somebody would be leaning towards YCP, obviously. It's only going to be the ruling party that people would be leaning towards at best. The reason why I did what I did was, last 5 years the system collapsed. The SPs and the collectors were made party to it. In a way, they were just asked to see rather than to do anything. That's what I just spoke about. Sand mafia, the illegalities. What I just gave you examples, and they were just made party to it. Illegalities, what should not be tolerated, were tolerated. Looting, what was not supposed to have been tolerated, was tolerated. Corruption, what was not supposed to have been tolerated, was tolerated. And all of it happened in front of our eyes. So obviously I had to see for people who were not leaning towards TDP, so that, a neutral atmosphere could come out. So I looked at honesty, I looked at efficiency. And then I figured out these people were the best for the jobs. And with utmost respect to you, I urge you to deliver good governance. I am not going to interfere, especially when it comes to corruption, especially when it comes to illegal activities, especially when it comes to looting. You have my word for it. And I am telling you from this stage, anybody who gives you instructions to do that, ignore them. Ignore them. But rest of the areas, take people into confidence. Take the MLAs into confidence. Take the ministers into confidence, because we are together as one. Governance means all of us together. So take everybody together. Bring in a governance what is inclusive governance. With inclusive governance, a lot of problems could be addressed in a better way, in a speedier manner, in an efficient manner. So keep that in mind. I don't think I should say anything beyond this. And I wish you all the best, and you have my faith and my confidence. And please make me proud. Thank you.